What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at my first upgrade to my iiRcade Gold cabinet. Yes, it's an upgrade. It's not really a modification. Basically what I want to do is swap out these stock speakers. While they are loud, they're not really clear. Now, you may be asking yourself, at $800, is it worth spending another $100 just to get a little bit of clarity? Well, check out the video and I'll tell you what I think. Let's start by heading around to the back of the cabinet and removing the 4 screws that hold on the top rear panel. And now with this panel out of the way, we can go ahead and remove the 4 screws that retain the speaker grill. Now before we take out that last screw, you want to make sure you keep a hand on the front of it. It is metal. We don't want that to scratch the plexiglass cover for the monitor or the control deck. And with the speaker grill out of the way, it's just 4 screws that retain each speaker, but make sure you keep a hand on the rear of the magnet so once again it doesn't fall and scratch your monitor. And also remember to unplug that connector before you remove the speaker. So we know what we have, but what are we upgrading to? It's a set of these JBL GX6428s, but listen, any 4x6 speaker is going to do. Now when you compare this to the original, this is definitely what I would consider OE automotive grade. It's fine, it handles the power, but you've got sort of this paper and foam construction. It's okay. It's going to be fine, but you're always going to be limited when you have a single speaker. But when you consider these speakers, there are 2 ways, so you have a separate tweeter. Also, it's designed to handle 120 watts peak power. That's impressive. Now the only downside to this is that the wires are actually soldered to these stock speakers, and we need to retain this stock wiring harness so we can plug directly into the board. So it's really no big deal. Just grab your soldering iron, use a little bit of flux, go ahead and heat up the solder, and these wires should pull right off the terminals. Now to keep the polarity correct, I wanted to make sure that I was using the proper terminals, and they were not marked on my speaker, so I had to refer to the included diagram to show me which terminal was which. So we're going to go with the skinny post for negative and the large post for the positive. The reassembly process is straightforward. These speakers accommodate the same hole pattern that the stock speakers do, so all your stock fasteners are going to work. Alignment is not going to be an issue. Everything fits nice and snug, and because you use the short iiRcade wiring harness, you're going to have to turn all your terminals into each other, facing each other. The only downside of that is that the JBL logo is going to be up on one and down on the other. My OCD just had a hard time with that. Lining up the fasteners for the speaker grill was not quite as easy as taking it off. I would recommend start with the top, get those 2 lined up snug, and then the bottom 2 just sort of fall in place. So as upgrades go, it really doesn't get much simpler than that. Now you don't have to go with the JBL speakers, but to keep the branding consistent, I decided to go ahead and go with that, especially because you can kind of see the speaker behind the grill. Do I think it's worth it? Absolutely. Yes, I know it's not exactly a cheap upgrade, but upgrades usually aren't cheap. You're upgrading to a better quality. Now what I have noticed is that the sound, especially when you play music, streaming with Bluetooth, you're really going to pick up those crisp highs. You're really going to get more of a full range when it comes to the sound. So while the iiRcade has the power, these new speakers have the clarity. Hey, thanks so much for stopping by and checking out the channel. Y'all have a blessed day, and I will see you next time.